Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. So recently we just saw Putin sign in a law on digital assets use in international payments. Now this is actually a pretty big deal. Listen, I've been talking about regulations and the accelerators. This is going to accelerate regulations even more. Again, initially we were talking about MiCA, which yes, we will go over a little bit in this video as well. But regardless, we are starting to see major accelerators around regulations that is going to put a lot of pressure on the US. The US is still sitting on the sidelines. But the question is, how long can they do that? And when we start to see big updates like this, well, guess what? Now you're starting to see things change a little bit, because remember, it's not just going to be Russia here. It's going to be all of the players alongside the BRICS nations. And we know that there's a significant amount of countries on the wait list to join the BRICS, and there's already a ton that have joined already. But regardless, when we actually look at this, big shout to ISO 2052, let's do it for this. We have the full-on announcement that we are seeing Putin sign in the law on the use of digital financial assets for international payments. The document was posted on the web portal of Legal Information. The use of digital rights in foreign trade was not covered earlier either by currency regulation and currency control or by foreign trade regulation. The approved law provides for the possibility of performing foreign trade transactions where digital assets are used as the means of payment. Transactions between a resident and non-resident, or between non-residents on acquisition and divestment of digital assets on legal grounds are, we have over here, are recognized as currency transactions. The Bank of Russia is vested with powers to set out conditions for making individual currency operations with digital assets and banning their performance. The law also updates the definition of digital rights being and not being currency valuables, and authorizes currency transactions related to acquisition and disposal of digital rights that are currency valuables, provided that payments are made in the Russian currency. Furthermore, the central bank is vested with a right to request details of beneficial owners of persons issuing digital financial assets from an issuer or an issue operator. The law will come into force from the promulgation date as well. Now, with that in mind, we also have the full-on update from a news platform. This is Russia Goes Digital. President Putin signs law for international payments, and this is from RT_India News. And listen closely to how this will all work and how it affects transactions as well, and then we will continue on.
Russian President Putin has signed a new law allowing the use of digital financial assets in international trade. The law permits the DFAs to be used as a form of payment for international transfers, challenging the West's dominance of global payment superstructures such as SWIFT. All right, let's cross live now to RT contributor Chris Sams to help explain the new trade mechanism. Chris, what major changes will this new law bring?
Well, I think, Rachel, the major change it makes is it really allows government institutions in Russia and Russian companies to freely use other and alternative payment methods in order to conduct their transfers. As we know, Russia was cut off, 2 years ago from the global financial system. Most Russian banks have the inability to use payment systems such as SWIFT or any other real payment method of moving money in and out of the country. Now, with this law passing, it means that other methods can be used, such as cryptocurrencies, for example, which is what I'm a strong advocate of, to move money instantly from one country to another. So it's quite significant, really, because it basically breaks down all of the barriers that the Russian economy had to trade in terms of payments.
The chairman of the Russian State Duma's Financial Markets Committee pointed out that the use of digital financial assets will help protect trade with friendly nations from the pressures of sanctions. So how exactly does that work?
Yeah, it's a really great question, Rachel. So how that works essentially is if we're using alternative payment methods such as cryptocurrencies, for example, or sovereign-based coins like the digital Russian ruble, for example, what that does is those systems are in a sense, a black box to other nations from seeing those transactions. For example, if we were to perform a SWIFT transfer, so if I was to send you rubles or dollars using SWIFT, it's very, very probable that the United States, for example, would be able to see all of those transaction flows, to see who I'm paying and who is being paid by me. And that's where we've seen a lot of these sanctions come into place on companies abroad that have been trading with Russian companies. That will disappear now if these alternative digital financial assets are used as payments instead of the traditional payment form.
So what countries would benefit from this new digital asset mechanism?
Oh, yeah, I think a number of countries. I mean, let's look at Russia's key ally, China. China implemented the digital renminbi, their own digital, if you like, cryptocurrency many, many years ago. Russia has followed suit with its own. So you can now, I think, see Russia trading using digital assets, including its own, with its ally China, which should increase trade and stop other foreign powers from interfering in the trade that they're doing between each other. You can see the same for India as well, where Russia is doing a huge amount of trade with India. It's been very hard historically for Russia to be able to trade between the Indian rupee and the Russian ruble due to this constraint of the SWIFT system. Now, if other countries start to accept other forms of digital payment, you'll start to see that become pretty much frictionless.
How do Western sanctions impact the development of digital financing?
Well, that's a really good question, Rachel. So in a way, they can't, because the whole point of a lot of digital financial assets, I mean, the one which everyone talks about is Bitcoin. There's another one called Tether, which is backed 1-to-1 on the dollar. Essentially, it's decentralized. And what that means is it doesn't allow a government to control it. The only way that a government can control it is to actually switch off the whole internet, which no one's ever going to be able to do. So it really creates a complete openness to allow this trade to happen without other governments interfering in the business of Russia.
And what prospects for state regulation of digital financing do you see?
Well, I think this is a great sign. It's a great start in a process that a lot of us here living in the Russian Federation have hoped for. It's a signal from the government that they are looking at alternative assets and how to regulate them. I think now we can see the Russian government looking closer at how other countries have regulated digital assets and exactly how they're going to expand this in the future.
All right. RT contributor Chris Ems. Chris, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So there you guys have it. And again, this is going to really affect a lot of things regarding transactional flows. But regardless of all of this, right, remember what this really is, right? We are starting to see payments change. We are starting to see the rails of the world change. And you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of what just recently happened, right? Back in the middle of February, there was a conference held, and it was a digital conference where it was 3 individuals. It was the head of payments at Swift, the head of payments at Citi, and the head of payments at Ripple. Big shout out to Subjective Views because he was the one that posted this. I'm not going to play the clip because I've already played it on the channel now twice. But regardless, the title of this episode is New Rails to New Worlds, Building Inclusive Innovative Infrastructures for Global Payments. Now, like I said, they are breaking down the phases to what the next generation of the network around global payments will look like. This is global interoperability of all major payments. And what's crazy about all of this, right, is we could clearly see the new rails for the new world incoming, because now we're starting to see the regulations and the standardization all aligning perfectly with it as well. And guess what it all pertains to? Crypto assets. Now, outside of this, right, what else is going on? What's happening right now that's hinting at the fact that we are getting closer than ever to regulating crypto? Well, beyond what Russia just did, we also have over here, Indonesia's finance regulator has issued new regulations for technological innovation in the finance sector, which also applies to crypto. This happened on March 13th. Then we also got this on March 5th, which was Taiwan's financial regulator. The Financial Supervisory Commission, the FSC, is taking a 2-pronged approach to cryptocurrencies as well. Again, so far, March seems to be a big month for regulations. But 2024 has already been aligned perfectly for regulations to really heat up. But also MiCA, right? On March 13th, we got a big update regarding MiCA. EU regulators published batch of draft rules for stablecoins under Mika, stablecoins are going to be the first major thing that gets regulated. I'm just going to tell you guys that right now because we've been fully focused on stablecoins initially because they are a big piece of the puzzle around crypto. And we know that back in 2022, there was over $10+ trillion settled with stablecoins in terms of transactional volume. So think about how significant that is. But also, this gets me to my next point, which is what is the US doing? Now, here's a big update that got posted by 801_XRP. And this is Warren Davidson. He's speaking on the lack of regulatory clarity by the SEC on digital assets. We passed FIT 21. We passed the ban on CBDCs. We passed stablecoin legislation. And we certainly passed the right to self-custody. Now, the problem that I have with this, right, is congressional members continue to push this idea that, oh, we're passing this, we're doing this, we're doing that. But at the end of the day, the US is still far behind. There's a big issue going on right now in the US, regardless of if you want to, play the role of saying, oh, well, the SEC, they're not going to be the ones regulating crypto, which I completely agree. But beyond that, right, like outside of the SEC, what's really going on? Nothing. It seems as though feet are being dragged along the way. And it really gets me to my next point, which is the fact that I don't think that there's much time left for the US to continue to drag their feet. Because again, we're already starting to see the regulatory wave around crypto really heating up. And it's going to start to be, at this point, especially with Mika going live at the end of the year, we're kind of getting into that position where the US can't wait any longer. They're going to be forced to usher in regulations. This is also why I've always said, like, the US is probably going to have their hand forced when it comes to regulations because of all of the other nations pushing for regulations around crypto. In fact, there's so many major areas around the world right now that want to become crypto hubs that are extremely pro-innovation, and they are pushing regulations forward in order for them to realize that innovation in. Now, listen closely to this clip. It's about almost 3 minutes long, and then I will continue on with what I wanted to discuss.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. It's the hook that allows kind of more spread. So I think of it a lot of times governments sort of like an invasive plant. Once it gets in a field, it just keeps growing, and the only way to get it out is to dig it up by root and branch. And if it's actually doing something useful, you at least have to prune it to make sure it doesn't overtake everything else. And I think companies that find themselves under regulatory scrutiny are frustrated because there seems to be no satisfaction of the amount of regulation. There's always more. That's particularly true in the digital asset space. So we've seen digital asset companies come to the CFPB saying, or come to the SEC in particular saying, please regulate us. We want clarity. We're happy to cooperate with you. What do you need to know? And they share, endless information, and they never get an answer. It's like Hotel California in a sort of way. You can never check out. You can never leave. Mr. Soloway, could you highlight the particular challenge digital asset companies confront when you have CFPB trying to put hooks into them in a regulatory environment where in no other part of the economy are they getting real clarity?
I agree, Congressman. I think the lack of regulatory clarity in the digital asset space presents a real problem for market participants there. It's my view that the proposed rule only muddies the waters here. Not only does the lack of risk-based justification make the rule unjustified, but it also leaves market participants in the dark regarding how they're supposed to prioritize compliance and whether they're even supposed to be covered by the proposed rule.
Yeah, so thank you. I hope that we do what our committee has set out to do, is provide that regulatory clarity. We passed FIT 21, we passed a ban on central bank digital currency, we passed stablecoin legislation, and we importantly protected the right of self-custody. Are there any concerns that the CFPB's approach threatens self-custody? Because frankly, one of the most important protections we've found as companies maybe haven't flourished, they've had problems, some have failed, users have been harmed, notably by FTX. Isn't self-custody a way to protect yourself?
Self-custody would address the risks that FTX presented, and the proposed rule's lack of clarity regarding whether these technologies are covered only makes it harder for developers and users to deploy that technology, given the regulatory uncertainty.
Thank you. My time's expired, and I yield.
Gentleman's time has, in fact, expired.
So again, as we really listen to some of these clips, it's clear that there is a major lack of regulatory clarity. Congress really isn't doing much. Listen, I've been listening to a lot of these congressional hearings where we have these members from Congress talking about how, the SEC has failed, Gary Gensler has failed, and they continue to put a spotlight on that, which is great. We need to talk about it, but there's no actual traction at all to move regulations ahead. In fact, there hasn't been much done at all in terms of regulations within the US. Now, the big thing is stablecoin legislation. That's one of the biggest things, because stablecoins are a big piece of the puzzle to crypto. Remember, stablecoins provide a significant amount of liquidity to the sector. We need stablecoin initiatives and we need stablecoin innovation within the US 100%. But I do fear that at this point in time, as we do look at the US, we could still very well be a year away from any proper regulations, and it could even be 2+ years away from any proper regulations. And when we think about that, right, MiCA is getting closer and closer to the full launch of the regulations, which, by the way, like, MiCA goes live December of 2024. So December of this year is when we will see MiCA come into play. And this does address stablecoins. It addresses assets and a lot of other things as well around crypto. But regardless of that, we also look at all of these other areas pushing for regulations at the same exact time that now Russia is signing in a law regarding digital assets and even crypto. And this is not just going to be the Bank of Russia. This is going to be every single country that wants to join the BRICS, that is a part of the BRICS, because once they do become a part of the BRICS, they are also going to push for regulations around crypto and sign in laws regarding it. Why? Because they want to be the first ones here for this. All of these nations want to reap the rewards of being early into crypto innovation and technology. The only nation not trying to push forward on this is the US. There's a big obstacle in the way. But I do believe that a lot of this regulatory movement from these big areas around the world are putting an immense amount of pressure on the US. And, when they are ready, I do think that there's certain companies like Ripple that are going to be there that allows them to tap in to the most efficient technology. Now, again, is that speculation? It 100% is, but also remember at the end of the day, right? Like, there's a significant amount of connections with Ripple with the US as well, beyond just FedNow and things like that. There's a lot of significant connections there, which we've outlined on the channel. But regardless of that, I do think that regulations are heating up at the same exact time that institutional focus and adoption is heating up as well. I think that the Bitcoin ETFs definitely are a big start. After that, guess what? They have to push the pace on tokenization. You can't get tokenization efforts without standardization and regulations in place. And once we have that last obstacle really kind of taken out, it's endgame for institutions to go all in on crypto. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys do want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.